Hi, and welcome to Live with the Vibe, where we have the heart-to-heart conversations. I'm Julianne Cantarella.
I'm Jacqui Atcheson.
I'm Susan Greif.
I'm Amie Blumberg.
And we're here to talk about what inspires us. Ladies, who inspires us? What inspires us during this time? We all look for inspiration. Jacqui, why don't you tell us what inspires you or who inspires you?
Well, you know what? Actually, it's a group. I'm going to say right now, from everything I'm experiencing, both personally and professionally, there's two groups that I am inspired by. It's the parents and the children. I am so utterly inspired. I'm watching my grandchildren and my children and all my clients who are in a very similar situation with varied age groups. And I'm going to start with the children, because this is so traumatic for them on all different levels. And I'm going to speak about younger children right now, because that's where we always become later in life. What were our traumas? What are our triggers? And that's the stuff that follows us through life. And these little kids between 3 and 6 and 3 and 7, they're going through a horrible trauma. And to realize the results of this, they're not socializing, they're not in school, they're locked up, they can't kiss anyone and hug them other than their parents. What a tough way to be a little kid right now. There's so much pressure on them. And I know the parents understand it, but then they have their own set of pressures that come along with this. And again, we've gone through that, so I'm not going to repeat the parent pressures, but just to understand what is going on. They truly are my heroes, the children and the parents that are going through this right now in the biggest way possible. And I hope they all recover and take care of their mental health and do the very best they can once this is done.
Yeah, there's actually definitely high incidence of anxiety in children, you know, socialization, separation anxiety, fear of germs, more OCD issues, washing hands more than they usually do.
Yeah, I could just say from my grandchildren and some of my clients who have these younger ages that I'm talking about, these traumatic ages, a lot of them are back in bed with their parents. A lot of the little ones are back in bed. There's a lot of acting out. There's a lot of being in bed again at night and stuff of that nature. There's a lot of regression, and this is just the beginning. So it's very hard for everybody. So
yeah, anybody out there who relates to this, we'd love to, we love the comments from people who can relate to this. We'd love to hear from you who have issues. Maybe you can help other people, other mothers.
I mean, even with my own son being home, because he's the youngest of the three, who has a more typical school schedule. I read him a bunch of questions today, and one asks, do you want to go back to school? Do you miss school? He goes, oh yeah, I want to go back I could go back tomorrow, which is a little unusual. Not that I think he would be there for the work, it would be more for the socialization and having the schedule. I think having, waking up at a certain time and going to school and coming home and having, I said last time, trying to keep him off electronics is like, a feat in itself. It's really tough, but I'm becoming a pro at hiding stuff and remote controls around the house so he doesn't end up on the TV, or, he is expressing himself through art, which is really neat. But yeah, I think having a schedule and having that interrupted is really very detrimental overall for everybody.
So Julianne, we're going to ask you the same question.
Okay. So I've been thinking about it, and I had a hot flash in the middle of the night. When I was up, I was going to think about one thing to talk about tonight, but I'm going to tell you, in thinking about it, I really feel my clients are the ones who inspire me, really. They're the ones who, of course I have special people in my life, from my husband to my kids to other people to you ladies, of course. But my clients are the ones who really, when they come to us as professionals, they're really coming to us in a state of vulnerability, right? They're surrendering and saying, I really want something. I really need your help. And that's very hard for people to say, you know, that they want help, they're open to help, they're willing to take a journey and be guided by a coach so that they can reach their goals. So to see a client go through a process and surrender and be vulnerable and get excited about reaching goals is something that completely and utterly inspires me. And I feel really badly for single people today, especially, which are my clientele, because they are finding themselves isolated and frustrated. I have a group of people who are going through the motions. They're getting themselves out, and dating distance, doing the social distancing, or they're having a Zoom or FaceTime dates, which is great. But there's a large majority of them who are saying, you know what, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up when it all clears up, which I think is good for them to come to that conclusion that, they want to take a different path. They want it to look a little different for themselves. But for, those people who are single, it's a tough time. It really is. I have people who come to me right at the beginning of this pandemic. And it's like, now they're saying, I think the universe is telling me I'm not supposed to be with someone. I have to, reinforce that that's not what's happening. Unfortunately, it's just bad timing. And, maybe they need to reflect a little bit more, and maybe need a little more healing, or there's something else that needs to be done before they take this journey. So I'm sure.
I see that same thing. I think gives time people to go back and reflect. I think it's a great time to go and learn about themselves and understand themselves and what is their real needs, who they really want in their lives.
Oh, yes. So true, Susan. So true.
Yeah, it is. No, it's actually interesting because where I'm not doing the divorce coaching now because of the circumstances of kids and spouses being in the same home. My marriage mediation, on the other hand, they're together in the same home or whatever, and they're actually, interestingly enough, doing better.
Which we love to hear.
That's extremely rewarding. And I'm saying like today, I'm going like, during this crisis, you're doing better. Like, I was like, wow, talk about what you're talking about, Julianne. That's rewarding.
Yes.
To hear that they're taking the exercises and all the work seriously. And to hear that is like, wow, they're putting in the work. They want this marriage to work. And wow, during this time. Now they become partners against the children because the children are the ones that are becoming difficult. And we're working on more of the parenting styles and being together, which is another thing that will bring them together.
That's great. And I think that parents, couples should be that united front.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And to manage kids together. Absolutely. And if maybe
cool.
Learning the skills.
Yes, definitely. So let's go on. I'm going to ask Amie. Who inspires you, Amie?
It's interesting. Well, you ladies inspire me. And part of that too is because you just keep going and have such a great upbeat attitude. And I think being around a community of colleagues, friends that are upbeat, positive, staying focused, and really continuing on their journey is what inspires me, because it just helps me believe that if they're doing it, I can do it. And so that's one piece that really inspires me, is the tenacity and the strength of the three of you is really motivational. And so I say it to anybody who's out there, when you're working and you're in isolation and you don't have the community with you, reaching out and finding a way to be with that community, whether it be in business or happy hour after work, or just hanging out with friends on Zoom, or you can even do, I think, Netflix party now. But being around people that have that vibe and that energy and keeping you uplifted is what really inspires me, that you can help each other and lift each other up. And the other thing that really inspires me, and I'll use an example, I have a client who I've been working with who is recently furloughed. And, in the beginning, she was really struggling with what is she going to do and applying for unemployment and doing all the things, waiting it out. But while she's been waiting it out, she's also come to the realization that maybe something about that job might not be right, and to use this time for exploration.
Yeah.
But as we started working on things, there were some blockers that she had, personal beliefs that maybe she wasn't good enough to be on a webinar with other group of professional women, or that she wasn't smart enough, or she wasn't, a lot of different things. And, you know, I can't use LinkedIn. I'm really not comfortable with it. And so there were all of these reasons why she couldn't. And we talked about it. And so I teased her and I said, well, it's time to take out the hatchet and hatchet all those limiting beliefs. And so when I sent her a text back, I sent a hatchet in the picture. I said, let's get the hatchet out right now. And so she did. And when we regrouped after 3 weeks, it was incredible what she had accomplished for herself, and that she recognized, which she got there on her own, that sometimes, you know, we put on this facade or these smoke and mirrors, and she overcame those beliefs. And so she inspired me in such a way to say anything is possible. And that if you really want something, or you really want to do it badly enough, just do it. And you don't need the hatchet, but she did take the hatchet, and she really did it mentally. And it was so inspirational to be on a call with her the other night, just to listen to all the things that she had done. And you could just see her smiling, and you could hear it in the voice. And that to me is inspirational, to know that somebody who's feeling alone and also not sure really how to sort of evolve on their own, was able to really take the guidance of being coached and go out there and just do it. And that to me was really inspirational. Sorry about the long answer, but
no, we're all taking our time. It's great. It's great. Yeah, and I would love to hear if other people feel the same way. Guys, we'd love some comments from our audience today.
Listen, I would
promise you I'll text them with a hatchet, okay? So it'll go away. So this week we're working on this, we're using a drill, like to get rid of the other stuff, drill it in. So we're using tools to sort of push things through.
I love
That's
it.
great.
Metaphorically, that's great.
Yeah.
Good visuals.
Yeah.
This is why we have our brick wall, right? We try and get through the brick wall. We don't let it become an obstacle.
Yeah. So Susan, who is your inspiration?
Well, I kind of feel like you all made a comment. I mean, yes, you ladies. I mean, the fact that we still keep going and it's not our normal studio, or it's not the way we normally work our group, and referring each other to other to help others or get on podcasts. So, I thank you, ladies. You are totally my tribe, and I feel very, very blessed. I have to say my grandchildren is like really inspiration for me, reason for me to actually, and get out of my bed and enjoy my day, because, I have 2 grandkids. One's a 3-year-old and one's, of course, it's just 7 months, and he's adorable. But the 3-year-old, it makes me think of Pablo Picasso's quote about every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people forget that it's okay to be creative. It's okay to be an artist. There's no judgment. I think my grandchild is reminding me there's no judgment in how you draw. There's no judgment in how you dance or how you sing. Right. It's just a great creative way to be. And of course, I use creativity in my as one of my tools and strategies. So and some of my clients are afraid, well, don't judge the way I draw. It's like, I work with 3-year-olds too. So there's no judgment in drawing. And I think we tend to forget in the school system, the education system, they take out the creativities. But I think what we need to remember in life is for those who believe, if we were created in God's image, then we too need to create. He created the world, we need to create. And that makes us almost godly-like, because it is a great form of expression and beauty out there. And I think she reminds me that go back to being a kid, find your inner child. And if you can't find joy and happiness, remember what made you happy as a child, and still, find that. If you like to sing, if you like to dance, do it again, because that will bring out the inner child and make you feel joyful again.
That's right.
That's very great. I love that.
Very, very true.
So I'll ask you guys a question. We all tend to listen to podcasts, you read books, you read articles, we take classes, you do webinars, but is there something out there that, we could each share with people that are listening that might not be taking advantage of that, and recognize that they might need inspiration And you can find inspiration in so many things you do. I mean, like Jacqui found inspiration just taking photographs of plants, but that flowers that made you feel special, right? But is there anything that any of us have read or listened to, you know, most recently in the last couple of days that maybe we want to share? Because I know that I do that. So you guys do share.
Okay, I'll start. My love is understanding relationships and trying to make, if it can't work, moving forward as peaceful as possible, because life is short. And again, I go back to it. I always said, like, you don't know what tomorrow brings. And if this pandemic didn't teach us that, I don't know what will. So as far as relationships, I'm a big fan of Esther Perel. And she's been doing relationships for over 20 years. Her story is amazing. And I took part, and she's doing these free seminars now. And she started another group of 4 on Wednesdays at 3. And I would highly recommend anybody. And it works for business, how you discuss relationships, how you complain, how you love, how you understand. And this series is on complaining and being part of this pandemic and the fetching. And I actually wanted to do that for next week. So I'm going to pick up on something she did today and request that we do it, like the art of complaining during the pandemic. So I'm suggesting it because it was so inspiring, and anybody should watch it as well.
Right. So I've been listening to Mary Morrissey, and I'm very familiar with Esther Perel. I know her stuff inside and out, Jacqui. So yeah, she's pretty wonderful. But Mary Morrissey, I stumbled across, and she talks about using spirituality and centering yourself and being open and accepting energy. And she has really been very inspiring, I would say, for me, and calming actually as well, and have definitely taken to trying to center myself more. So if someone's looking to really kind of center a little bit and connect with themselves a little bit better and their higher power, I would suggest Mary Morrissey. She's great.
Thank you. Amie, I'm going to ask you.
You know, I really enjoyed listening recently to Brene Brown, her podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I love,
Social worker.
I'm a huge fan for a million years. Absolutely.
Yeah,
vulnerability, right? Vulnerability.
Yeah, vulnerability. But, she talks about, and I don't know if I can do it on camera, but I'll do it. But she talks about her FFTs. And, excuse me, but it's her FN first time.
That's right.
And I love the candid and how transparent she is, but how open she is. And she shows that vulnerability, because how many of us struggle with doing something for the first time and holding ourselves back and stopping ourselves from doing things? And it goes to the vulnerability, but just putting yourself out there. And that's what I learned from her. I mean, I don't think I would have ever done Live with the Vibe if it wasn't for you guys. Having a community and doing it, but also doing it for the first time was scary. Being on camera, being out there, doing things. And so I love the fact that she just talks about really cool things. And I was listening to this morning while I was walking the dogs, and she was talking to these 2 brothers who, it was just a fascinating story, but just how transparent she is. But she just sort of goes in there and she gets you and does it in a great way. And it allows you to sort of be freeing of what all that stuff is you're bottling up. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's been wonderful to listen to it, because it's unlike anything else. She just puts it out there and she says it the way she is. And I think that's just her charm. And I love it about that. I love that feeling.
Yeah. That could be a very interesting topic too. We have the art of complaining and the FFTs. They could be really interesting things that people would join in on.
Yeah, for sure.
And spirituality, Mary, my God, this is it's good stuff. Thanks, ladies.
Well, we're going to round this up. Guys, if anybody has any people that inspire you, that you feel that other people should listen to.
Susan, we didn't hear you.
Oh, she was trying to
do that.
Where's Jacqui?
Your turn.
They know me, guys.
I know you, girl.
Well, you know what? There's so many wonderful. I love Brene Brown. I love these other. I mean, I think the thing that comes up for me right now is Mel Robbins, only because when we first started to do this group, this Live with the Vibe, we decided to go as a group to be at one of her the audience, participate in her audience for her Mel Robbins show. And,
great.
and the truth is, it's all about, you know, mindset. And that's what we work on, the mindset and dealing with trauma that makes it difficult for us to move forward. And she reminds us, like, sometimes it's just the thought process that keeps us from moving forward. It's not that, you know, blink, you know, thought. And she counts 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so that it distracts your mind from thinking of like why you shouldn't be doing certain things.
Correct.
So I get inspired by her. I love her like straightforward tactic. That's what I do with my clients. There's no BS, and you just make that step, make that change, and deal with the reality. So I like that about her too. How's that? Is that okay, girls?
It's good.
That's good.
So everyone,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, goodbye.
but no, just so everyone wants to watch Mel Robbins, she does 12 o'clock every day. She takes an audience question, and she does 15 or 16 minutes on it. So that's another thing. If you're hanging around, Mel is great. She really is.
You know, before we go, I think the real message is that there's a lot of opportunity out there to learn and to feel like you're not alone.
And be inspired.
And to be inspired.
And did you notice, as women, we're all inspired by other women.
Yes.
Funny. And there are great mentors out there. If you have your own mentor, you know, seek out people that you value and inspired by, and they'll help you get what you need in life. So thank you ladies for being there with me. And anybody out there, please feel free to comment. We'd love to hear from you. You feel free to email us or message us, private message us. We'd love to hear from you. Check out our YouTube at bit.ly/live@the-vibe. It's on YouTube, and our podcast, Live Vibe. That's it, bit.ly Live Vibe. I guess I will post it. Anyway, I'm Susan Greif.
I'm Amie Blumberg.
I'm Jacqui Atcheson.
And I'm Julianne Cantarella. And we are live
with the vibe.
Bye.
Bye.